let you know all the little tears gon' come and go. Baby, just gotta make up your mind that every little thing's gonna be alright.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be ranking Blackpool Pleasure Beach flat rides from best to worst, because I did this with the roller coasters last week and that video went down so well. Like, I'm so surprised at how well it was received and it got so many likes, and I was just like, okay, people like this video. So I mean, basically that means that it's just going to go downhill from here. But I am going to be ranking the flat rides today. This doesn't include Valhalla because I've never ridden it, so I feel like I can't really judge it. It also doesn't include the Nickelodeon Land rides because next week's video is going to be the Nickelodeon Land rides ranked from best to worst. And then it also doesn't include some of the like baby rides, like, you know, Eddie Stowbar and stuff like that. So just so you're aware, yeah, that's what it is. If you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe. Welcome to my channel. Hit that subscribe button because I upload twice a week. Sometimes I will upload 3 times a week if there's any like breaking news and whatever, and something that I feel like I need to talk about, then I will definitely upload 3 times a week. But my usual upload schedule is every Monday and Friday at 4 PM. Before we get started, I do just want to say that I am in a different location today. I am in my brother's room because he has gone away with work, so basically whenever he's not here, I like to steal his bedroom because his bedroom is a lot bigger than mine and it's a lot nicer. And I thought I'd just change it up a little bit, you know, just have like a bit of a different kind of location, just to sort of change it up a little bit. So yeah, okay, I think that's all I need to say. Let's get into the video. Okay, so my favourite flat ride slash dark ride at Pleasure Beach, because I've also included dark rides as well, because I feel like you can class them as flat rides, so that's what I'm doing. So my favourite one there is Wallace and Gromit. I absolutely love Wallace and Gromit so much. I have grown up with Wallace and Gromit. I still watch it as a almost 20-year-old. Like, I love Wallace and Gromit so much, and I love the ride. The ride, like, okay, like, yeah, you can say that the ride isn't perfect because it's not. Like, there are a few faults and it's mainly just a timing issue. I think that's the only reason that people may not like it as much, is because of the timing, because sometimes you can go past something and completely miss it because it hasn't sort of lit up in time, or just like wherever it's look on the day. Basically, it depends where you're sat, it depends how it's all going and whatever. But overall, I think as a dark ride, as a family ride, I think they've done such a good job. I never got a chance to ride the gold mine, because Wallace and Gromit, before it was Wallace and Gromit, it was the gold mine, so I can't really compare the two, and I know a lot of people did prefer the gold mine, but I never rode it, so I can't really judge. So I do love Wallace and Gromit. I love the theming, I love the music, I love the fact that it is like in a dark ride. Like, I don't know, I think just the fact that the UK hasn't really got another ride like that, and another dark ride kind of themed so heavily around this like one program. I don't know, to be honest, I don't really think it's the ride. I think it's just the nostalgia, and it's the fact that Wallace and Gromit has this like a really special place in my heart. So I don't know, I just really love Wallace and Gromit. I love all the animatronics, I love the theming. My second favourite is River Caves. I think River Caves is such a really good themed ride. I think the fact that it's one of the oldest rides at Pleasure Beach I absolutely love, because, you know, they've kept it going, they've kept it maintained, they've kept it open, they've kept it running season after season after season, and I just love that. It's kind of like what they've done with like Big Dipper and Grand National stuff. Like, they've kept them going, they've kept them open, and I think the fact that they've done that with some of the older rides is just amazing, and like, well done, because I feel like it takes a lot of effort to keep really old rides still going, and I feel like a lot of other parks might have just given up by now and they might have just replaced them, but Pleasure Beach have just like kept it going. Again, I think it's just the theming on River Caves that I absolutely love. I love the fact that it's like themed around dinosaurs. There's like a load of history into it. I think the only thing I would say about River Caves is that I don't really like the boats, because I don't like the fact that you can't like lean back on something. Like, it's literally just a bench, and then throughout the entire ride, like, it's not actually too bad. It's just when you get to the lift hill, I'm like holding on to this like sidebar like for dear life, because I feel like if I don't hold on, I'm just gonna like fall all the way back. So if they could have something to like lean on, that would be great. If you sat on the back row, like, you're so lucky, because you can have something to lean on, because you can literally just lean on like the back of the boat, if that makes sense. So being on the back row is great, but you don't always get the back row, because obviously you're told kind of where to sit, and so the boat like balances itself out. I feel like that's the only fault about River Caves, really. I think the whole like exterior is not the right word, I don't know, like the whole like building and stuff is so beautiful. It's so well themed. I don't know, I really like it. I love the fact that it's like, it's kind of like a log flume, but you don't get too wet. Like, sometimes, to be fair, sometimes you can go on it and you can get a little bit of a soak in, but most of the time you go on there and you get like a little bit wet, but you'll dry off so quickly afterwards. And sometimes you won't even get that wet, you'll get like a little sprinkle and that's it, so it just dries off super quickly. And I like that, because the main reason I haven't ridden Valhalla is because I just don't want to get that wet. I think my favourite section on River Caves is the section going underneath the stars. I think that's the bit where Wallace and Gromit is as well. Like, sometimes when you're going through that bit, you can hear Wallace and Gromit, and I never really noticed that until my brother pointed it out. But yeah, next time you go on River Caves, when you go like underneath the stars, listen out for Wallace and Gromit, because you might be able to hear it. My third favourite flat ride, I feel like a lot of you are going to be like screaming at me and you're not going to agree with me at all, but my third favourite is Ice Blast. I feel like Ice Blast gets so much hate, it's actually ridiculous. I feel like because it doesn't really have any airtime, and obviously you're not like up there for very long, like, I don't know, like a lot of people just don't like it, but I really like it. I love shot towers. I prefer shot towers over drop towers. So I don't know, like a lot of people say they just want to get rid of Ice Blast, but I'd be so devastated if Ice Blast was to go, because I love heights and I love being sort of like up high. So I think the fact that Ice Blast is like 200 foot or however tall it is, and the fact that you actually get to be up high and you get amazing views, like, I love that. And I love the fact that it gives me this like adrenaline rush, because shot towers do like still get to me a little bit and they still do scare me, and I don't know, I like that. So I think if they were to get rid of Ice Blast, I would be so heartbroken. And I love the views that you get over Blackpool, that you get over Pleasure Beach. No matter which side on Ice Blast you sit, you still get amazing views, like just all over Blackpool. The only thing I would say about Ice Blast is it is a really short ride, but I mean that's what drop towers are, but because it's so short, I don't think it's really worth waiting any more than like 10 minutes for it. I've waited like half an hour to 45 minutes for that ride, and let me tell you, it's honestly not worth it. And the queue can actually look quite short, but sometimes it can end up being really long, so I think just be quite wary of the queue times for Ice Blast, because it's honestly not worth any more than like 10 minutes. In at number 4 we have the Ghost Train. I love the Ghost Train so much. I've not actually ridden it this year, which makes me so sad, because I think they've like done some changes to it, but I'm not sure what they've changed, because I haven't really heard anyone talk about it like properly, and it was closed on opening weekend this year, and that is the only time that I've been to Pleasure Beach this year. So yeah, I'm like dying to get back on the Ghost Train, like so bad. But yeah, anyways, I love the Ghost Train. Again, just the theming like is so great. Like, yeah, Pleasure Beach don't really have a lot of theming around the park and whatever, but I mean, it's an amusement park, like it's not a theme park. Like, theming isn't really a massive deal for Pleasure Beach, and to be honest, like I know some enthusiasts are like so like obsessed with theming, which is fine, and like I do get it, but personally, like I'm not really that bothered. Like, yeah, theming is nice and it's always a bonus, but if a park doesn't have super heavily massive theming around it, like, I won't be that bothered. They know how to theme their dark rides and they know what they are doing with their dark rides. I have never been on a ghost train like the one at Pleasure Beach, and I just find it so cool, so unique. I think that was like the first ghost train like ever to be built, was it, or something like that? I'm pretty sure it was. And yeah, I don't know, I just love the fact that it has that like reputation to it. I love the layout. I think the ghost train, like, it isn't really that scary. Like, I was a bit scared to go on it at first because it was my first ever ghost train, but honestly, once you've done it once, like, it's fine, because you kind of know what to expect. You know when the jump scares are coming, like, you know when everything is coming. And when, like, every time you go on it, I feel like there's always something different to look at. Like, there's always things that I spot that I've never really spotted past times that I've been on it, because it's just so heavily themed and there's so much to look at. My next favourite flat ride at Pleasure Beach is the Pleasure Beach Express, and I have had a love-hate relationship with this ride. I used to love it, then I kind of hated it for a little bit, and now I love it again. The only reason that I've hated it is because I think I've told this story so many times, and I feel like I mention it in every single Pleasure Beach vlog that I do. I'm a bit more sort of over it now. Like, I was very scarred from that experience, but now I feel like I'm starting to get over it a little bit. But we basically got stuck on it for 45 minutes on opening weekend in 2019, and that experience was just like horrible. So after that experience, I'm definitely avoiding the Pleasure Beach Express on any opening weekend. I avoided it this year, and I'm gonna avoid it next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and just, yeah, like, opening weekend, me and Pleasure Beach Express don't mix well together, so I'm avoiding that at all costs. I love the PB Express. I think it's great. I think you get amazing views of Pleasure Beach, daytime, nighttime, like, amazing views. You can take amazing photos. It's great vlog footage, great off-ride footage. You can actually get so close to some of the rides. And yeah, I don't know, I just think it's a great, nice, relaxing ride if you don't get stuck on it for 45 minutes. In at number 6, we have the Darby Racer, and again, I kind of go through phases with this. I won't really say I've had a love-hate relationship with it, but I definitely do go through phases where sometimes I'm like, I just want to go on it like all the time, and then other times I'm really not that bothered about it. But overall, like, as a flat ride, I do really like it. I love the fact that Darby Racer isn't just like a slow, kind of boring carousel. I love the fact that it does have some speed to it, and the horses, like, rock up and down, like, at quite a fast speed, and they go really high and then they go really low, and I don't know, I love that. And I have great memories on Darby Racer. Another story time for you. It was opening weekend. God, me and opening weekends just do not go well together, do we? It always just seems to be a disaster. But yeah, anyways, on opening weekend in 2018, I was with Kaya again, and it was Kaya's first time at Pleasure Beach, so I wanted to ease her into the rides. I didn't want to take her on like the thrill rides first. I wanted to start off small and then we just like work our way up. So we started off on Darby Racer. It had been raining on that morning, and I had these like boots on, and we went on Darby Racer, and I walked in. I was so cocky, I was so confident, I was so excited just to be back in Pleasure Beach. I was so excited to get back on Darby Racer. And then I was walking over to my horse. I was like, right, let's go on these horses, come on. I was walking over, and then bam, slipped right on my arse, didn't I? And I'm so annoyed that I didn't catch it on camera and Kaya didn't catch it on camera, because that footage I would have treasured forever. I feel like that is always an ongoing joke for me and Kaya. Like, every single time we go on Darby Racer, we're always like, oh, don't slip, and we always just like make a joke about it, and it's the funniest thing. And Kaya will never ever let me live that down. So yeah, that was just, oh, it was the funniest thing. And it was funny because like I wasn't hurt, and like a load of people just like, because there was already a few people already on the ride, like ready to go, and like the ride operator and stuff, everyone was like, oh my god, are you okay, are you okay? And like it was quite nice, like it was really sweet because nobody else was kind of like laughing, and nobody else sort of like took the piss out of me for it, which I'm quite surprised about. But like everyone was like, oh my god, are you okay, and whatever, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. It was just so funny. But yeah, like I was fine. Like yeah, it hurt kind of at first, obviously, because Darby Racer is like concrete, and it's like a hard, it's not concrete, but you know, it's like a hard like wooden floor, and obviously I just went straight down on my arse. But I mean, I was fine, and it didn't really hurt. It hurt for like a second, and that's it. Like I was honestly on the floor pissing myself. It's making me laugh just thinking about it. I was pissing myself for like 10 minutes straight, honestly. It was the funniest thing. And then Kaya was just stood there laughing her ass off as well. Like, oh, it was great. So yeah, I'll always have that special memory with Darby Racer that will never leave me. My next favourite is flying machines. Again, kind of go through phases with this, where sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. I think I love flying machines more in the summer rather than kind of in the colder months, because if you go on it in the summer, then it's a nice relaxing kind of refreshing ride, because it's like, you know, you sit down and you go around in this like just circle, and you get such a breeze like coming in on your face. So going on it in the colder months is like horrible, because you just get this freezing cold air coming at you, and no matter how warm you wrap yourself up, you will honestly, you'll come off flying machines with like hypothermia. It's so bad, and it hurts my face, it hurts my ears, like it's horrible. So I don't really like going on it when it's like cold, but in the summer when it's a really hot day and it's a really nice day and you just want like a bit of a breeze, that is the perfect ride to go on. Like you get that sea air coming at you, you get a bit of a breeze, and it's the most refreshing thing ever, and it's so nice. And yeah, I think flying machines in the summer really is the one to go for. It's the oldest ride at Pleasure Beach, so I think, you know, again, the fact that they've just kept it going and they've kept it open, and like yeah, it has had a few changes to it, but nothing like super kind of major. You know, the ride is still flying machines and it still does what it did back in the day. So I think, you know, the fact that they've kept it open, they've kept it in exactly the same place that it has been since like 1904. Yeah, I think they've just done a really great job with it. My next favourite is Grand Prix, and I don't really get to ride Grand Prix that often, just because again the queue can build up to be so long, and I just don't think it's worth it. They only seem to open Grand Prix in like school holidays or on like busy days and like weekends. They don't tend to open it like on like quieter days, which I guess is understandable. If it's not going to get people riding it, then fine, whatever, there's no point in opening it. But then it's kind of sad for people like me who like to go on school days and stuff. I like to go on days when it's quiet. But yeah, anyways, Grand Prix is a ride, I love it. It's kind of like Pleasure Beach Express, but you're driving it yourself. And you get kind of different views than Pleasure Beach Express. Like you go past the icon queue, you get to go underneath the big one. Like, I don't know, I just think it's great. You can have so much fun on it with your friends. If you're one of those people that like, you know, drives like this and you have the car bashing side to side, then like I don't like you and I don't trust you, and you should be banned from Grand Prix. And as harsh as that sounds, I just, you know, like I stand by that. In at number 9 we have Skyforce, and this list was so hard to make because I really had to think about what rides I loved over other rides, and I really struggled to put Skyforce in its place, because there was a time, I think kind of when Skyforce first opened in 2015, that was like my favourite flat ride. Like just at like any theme park like in the UK, that was my favourite flat ride. And now I don't hate it like at all. I don't hate any ride at Pleasure Beach, but I definitely don't love it as much as I did when it first opened. So I still don't know whether I kind of rate Skyforce this kind of low, but I don't know, I feel like I don't get the same kind of enjoyment from it than I did when it first opened. But you know, regardless, like, I still love it, I still think it is a great ride. But I mean, if I go to Pleasure Beach and I don't manage to get on Skyforce, I'm not really that bothered about it. But yeah, anyways, like, I do love Skyforce, I love the theming, and I love the fact that, you know, it is quite unique for the UK. We don't really have anything like that at any other theme park in the UK. So yeah, it really depends on the day, and I think it depends on the mood that I'm in, because sometimes I'll love it and sometimes I won't like it as much. But yeah, kind of, I don't know, it's weird, it's a weird one, Skyforce. The next one is Alice in Wonderland, and I love this ride so much. I think it's great. I think the theming, again, is so great. I feel like I'm just repeating myself about all of the dark rides, but I can't stress enough how, like, amazing they are, and how amazing the theming is for, like, all of the dark rides at Pleasure Beach. I don't know, like, I love the fact that whenever you hear that music, well, for me personally, whenever I hear that music, I'm instantly like, I'm at Pleasure Beach, I'm home, and all of this kind of nostalgia comes back. And that ride, again, it has like a lot of history to it, and it feels like a proper classic. Like, sometimes I'll go on River Cayers and it still feels quite fresh and it feels quite new, whereas I'll go on Alice in Wonderland and instantly, like, the history and the nostalgia and, like, the heritage of it and everything just, like, proper hits me, and I'm like, yeah, this is like a really old classic. Yeah, I think as soon as you get in there, you're just, like, greeted with, like, a load of vibrant colours, theming, like, everything about it is just so great. And again, it's just another nice relaxing ride, and yeah, I don't really know what else I can say, because it's just great, and I love the theming, and I love the fact that, again, they've just kept it open and they've kept it going. Okay, second to last ride is the Gallopers. I think I've ridden these like once in my, like, 6 years of going to Pleasure Beach. I can hand on heart say that I think I've only ridden the Gallopers like once, and I honestly don't have a problem with that. It's just, you know, your bog standard carousel, so I don't waste my time on it. I'd rather go on Darby Racer than the Gallopers, because it's just a carousel, you know. It's quite boring, it's nothing kind of special or unique about it. And don't get me wrong, like, it is beautiful and I love the way it looks, because I think it does look absolutely stunning. But I think as a ride overall, I don't really rate it, and I never go on it. And I think it's nice for the children and it's nice for, like, the families and stuff. Like, yeah, I think it is nice that they do have a classic carousel there, but if I was going to pick between that and Darby Racer, then I would definitely pick Darby Racer. So I actually forgot to include this ride. It's literally just clicked in my head. So this is actually second to last. So Gallopers is third to last, and this one is second to last, and then obviously we've got the last ride. But the second to last one is the Dodgems. And I just feel like I don't really rate these Dodgems. Like, I barely go on them, and I feel like if I'm on them, I've been forced to go on them by someone else. I would never choose to go on the Dodgems, like, you know, out of choice. I went on them on opening weekend this year with Chris and Liam, and I had, like, to be honest, I did have a good time and it was really fun, but I don't waste my time on Dodgems. Like, if I'm gonna go on some Dodgems, then I'd rather go on them at a place like Fantasy Island or like a fun fair or whatever. I think at Pleasure Beach, I'd rather spend my time, you know, going on some of the other rides like Icon and Big One, and, you know, all of these other flat rides that I've mentioned in this video. And yeah, I don't know, it's not necessarily because the Dodgems are bad, it's just because they're the dodgems. And the final ride on my list is Impossible. Again, I just really don't rate Impossible. It's just so bad. Like, I don't hate it because I could never hate a ride at Pleasure Beach, but Impossible is just so bad. I think the walkthrough section is quite fun, especially if you're with somebody else. Like, I've done it before with Kaya and we've had such a laugh and it was so great. But I think kind of once you've done it, you've done it, and like when you go on it again, you don't really get the same kind of experience because you kind of know what's coming up and you've made that joke in the past, so it's not as funny anymore. And I don't know, it just doesn't really feel the same if you've done it so many times. But I think the walkthrough section, like, it is really good and it is really good themed, and I think, you know, the activities that you can do in there is like amazing, especially for like little children as well. Like, I think it is really good. But in terms of like the actual swing and like the ride, I just don't think it's great. Like, I kind of used to like it, but then I kind of realised after I've been on it a few times, it gets boring and it gets repetitive. And you could say that about some other rides, but I think every other ride that I've mentioned in this video, you get a different experience every time you go on them. Whereas Impossible is just the same boring, tedious thing over and over and over again. Like, you literally, if you've never been on Impossible, you've never seen anything of Impossible, then you basically just go into this room, you sit on this really big like bench kind of swing thing, and I think the room spins or you spin, I'm not sure which one it is, and yeah, you just spin, but you spin very slowly, and it sometimes gives me a headache, it makes me go a bit dizzy. There's no real proper kind of story behind it. I can't really compare it to Hex at Alton Towers because I've never been on Hex. But the one thing I do know about Hex is the fact that it has a story behind it, so it makes it a bit more interesting. So those were my Pleasure Beach flat rides ranked from best to worst. I'm not gonna lie to you, this does change quite a lot because, like I said earlier, I go through phases with some rides where I love them and then I don't like them as much, or I might prefer River Caves over Wallace and Gromit and whatever. But for now, this is my list. Please do remember that this is just my opinion, this is just what I like. We're all different, we all have different opinions. I know a lot of people definitely won't agree with my list on here, and if you don't, like, please don't come for me in the comments, like, please don't slate me for it. It's just my opinion, it's just what I like, and it's just the way that I am. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you guys next time for a brand new video. Stay safe, stay well, and yeah, bye.